When your world is turned upside down. God, what a day. It started badly. A flat tire on the road to take the kids to daycare. Traffic was horrendous, and finding a safe place to change the tire was hard enough. Screaming kids, blaring klaxons, wet roads, and muddy conditions all made the trip very unpleasant. It just kept getting worse and worse. I couldn't drop the kids off at the drop-off zone because of a flat tire. I had to park 2 kilometers away from the daycare and walk them to the gate. Because of this, my day started off on the wrong foot, and the rest of my day got worse and worse. I was so exhausted when I finally sat down at my desk that I entered the wrong password on my computer. An hour was wasted trying to call customer service. I was chasing my tail, falling further and further behind. The printer malfunctioned, and my end-of-month report turned into a crumpled mess. I had to skip lunch, and my afternoon client didn't show up. The kids cried when I picked them up from daycare. It took me forever to quiet them down. All in all, it was a very bad day. At least I'm almost home now. I was starting to relax. The kids seemed happier, which meant I was going to have a cup of coffee and get a chance to relax properly. Pulling out into the driveway, my irritation level increased dramatically. Right in the middle of our driveway stood a shabby old car. Not off to the side so I could skip, but right in the freaking middle. I had to park on the curb and get inside on foot. Unbuckling James and Louise, we walked down the driveway. Standing next to the car was a young woman with a small child in her arms, maybe 3 years old at most. She slowly made her way toward me, and her face flushed with concern. "Mrs. Andrews?" "Yes. And who might you be?" I snapped back unnecessarily. If she had parked in a reasonable manner, I would have been much more polite. "My name is Danny," she said hesitantly. With a nod of her head, she introduced the baby nestled on her hip. "And this is my daughter, Marissa." I smiled, trying to look interested. In fact, all I could think about was how much I needed that damn coffee and how I could get rid of her. "It's nice to meet you. How exactly can I help you, Danny?" She looked around, especially paying attention to the children. "Perhaps we could talk inside. It's a rather delicate, personal matter." Seeing her growing apprehension, I pointed to the front door. "Very well, though I must warn you. I've had a terrible day, so it better be important." Inside, the children scattered to their rooms, leaving me with Danny, who headed for the dining room. "You have a beautiful home, Gabrielle. It really is beautiful." Confused, I muttered something with a mixture of curiosity and annoyance. "How do you know my name?" She sat Marissa down in a chair and slowly stood up. Ronald said to me. Surprised," I muttered awkwardly. "Do you know my husband?" She nodded. "Yes, that's why I'm here. This whole scene was making me very nervous." "And why exactly that?" I asked anxiously. She took a deep breath and stared straight at me. "This is going to sound self-serving, but I need Ronald to fulfill the deal he made with me. He promised to pay for Marissa." "What do you mean, pay for Marissa? Why in God's name would he pay anything for your daughter?" "Because he's Marissa's father, and he promised." She said it like it was no big deal, like she was talking about nothing important. I didn't notice that she stepped back as the words echoed around the room. Stunned and almost speechless, I barked back at her. "I apologize. How dare you come in here and make such inflammatory statements?" "I'm sorry, Gabrielle. I didn't want to come here today, but I had no choice. Ronald made me a promise and he broke it. He refuses to return my phone calls or text messages. I tried to contact him at work, but they just brushed me off. All I want is what he promised." "Look, Danny, I don't know what game you're playing, but this isn't funny." The kettle boiling distracted me for a moment. "Is this some kind of silly prank?" "No, Ronnie, it's Marissa's father. He promised me that if I didn't say anything or name him as the father on the birth certificate, he would pay me a weekly allowance. For the past 2.5 years, he has honored that commitment, but 2 months ago he stopped paying, and is now hiding from me. You expect me to believe that? My husband. Ronnie, is that your daughter's father? She nodded slowly. I'm sorry, Gabrielle, but yes, it is. I didn't want to come here today or cause trouble. I couldn't think of anything else to do. It was one of those moments where thoughts whirled through my head and nothing made sense. Why in God's name should I believe you? She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Maybe this will help you believe. I poured us both a cup of coffee. What kind of coffee do you want? Milk and 2 sugars, please. I sat down next to her at the table and pulled a couple of documents out of a thick envelope. I gasped in shock. My hand trembled and there was no way I could stop it. A DNA report was staring at me, stating in black and white that Ronald Andrews had a 99 9/10% probability of being Marissa Featherstone's father. Oh my God, that couldn't be. I could feel the life leaving me. She wrinkled her nose. I'm sorry to have to do it this way. If he had kept his promise, I would never have betrayed his trust. When was the last time you saw him? I asked through clenched teeth. If you're asking when we last had love, the answer is 3 months ago. I took a big gulp of coffee, trying to hide my anxiety. How long have you been having an affair with my husband? 4 years. God, what do you hope to accomplish by coming here today? Are you trying to get us divorced? Is this revenge? Is that what this is? No. Revenge was never my intention. When Ronnie and I started dating, he told me he was divorcing you. I would never get involved with a married man, but he convinced me that your relationship was dead. He's already started divorce proceedings. Lying bastard, I muttered angrily. Our marriage was strong, at least I thought it was. How often did you see him? At first it was about 2 nights a week when he stayed overnight at my place. As time went on, it fluctuated. Sometimes he'd stay for a whole week. There were hardly any other options at all. You were having an affair? How did you get pregnant? Were you using protection, of course? Yes, I was on the pill, but I developed a yeast infection and the doctor advised me to go off the pill until it cleared up. So for a few months we relied on protection, but one night he took me to a nightclub. We got drunk, and I don't know. I think he didn't put it on properly. Anyway, the end result was Marissa. She reached out and ruffled her daughter's hair. I could see the love and pride in her eyes. Okay, Danny, let's assume I believe everything you said. What was the purpose of your visit? Gabrielle, I don't have much money. I was at university when I met Ronnie and fell in love with him. With Marissa, I can only work a few hours a day. It's not enough to live decently. I do get single mother's allowance, but only because I refuse to give my father's name. It's less than half of what I would have been entitled to if I had given his name. So, Ronnie made a deal with you? I whispered incredulously. Yes, and like I said, he paid it off regularly for 2.5 years. I think we started having problems after Marissa was born. I pushed hard to get him to finalize your divorce. I loved him and I wanted to live together. Did he tell you that's what was happening? Yeah. Look, I'm sorry, okay. I was stupid and in love. I believed him. It's only recently become obvious that he's been leading me on all along. I feel stupid. He obviously doesn't care about me at all. How much money did he give you exactly? $500 a week. What? I gasped in shock. We'd been struggling to make ends meet for the last couple years. I went back to work full-time because things were really tight. All this time he's been giving her money. You say you were in love with him? Did he tell you that he reciprocated that love? Yes. She almost cried. He was so loving and wonderful. I'm sorry, Gabriel. I know it must be painful. Of course it hurts. You come into my house and tell me that my husband is in love with you. God, you two-faced fool. No, you have to believe me. I didn't come here to cause trouble. I know I must look like a stupid girl. Believe me. That's exactly how I feel. All I want is what he promised me. I don't care if I never see him again, but either he pays me or I go to court with the DNA test results and give him his name. Then he will be responsible for full child support. With my anger now on the verge of breaking, I hissed, "Danny, I suggest you do just that, because after today, he won't be living here." She wrinkled her nose painfully. "Gabrielle, I don't want to destroy your family. That was not my intention." "Oh, for heaven's sake, you can't be that stupid." "What were you thinking? What did you think was going to happen here today?" She stared at the table, twirling her cup on the saucer. "I just want him to fulfill his promise." "You thought I'd just accept that my husband had an affair with you and became the father of your daughter? And I'd be happy about it? You stupid child. I'm going to nail his balls to the front door and take every last dime he has." "You don't have to do that, Gabriel. I don't want him. In fact, I'll never speak to him again. He used me, and now he wants to wash his hands of me." "Danny, hand on heart, I don't care about you. You're nothing to me, and I just don't care. You can get in your car and drive away. I don't have any money to give you. I had to go back to work, put my own kids in daycare, the time I wanted to spend with them. I had to do that because of the money he was giving you. So please, before I call the police, go ahead and yes, take whatever steps necessary to get your money, but never, and I do mean never, cross the threshold of my house again." She stood up quickly. Tears were streaming down her face. She grabbed Marissa's hand and headed for the door. At the door, she turned around and sniffed her nose through her crocodile tears. "I'm sorry. Gabrielle. You're a lying little fool. You came here for one reason and one reason only, revenge. Nothing you could say would make me think otherwise. You knew damn well I wasn't going to give you any money. You came here today with only one intention, to hurt me and get back at Ronnie. In the future, stay away from married men and keep your body locked up." Her car gurgled and coughed as it came to life. My blood pressure rose exponentially as I watched her drive away. What a bastard. All this time, he'd been leading a double life. I thought he was traveling for work. 3 days a week, he traveled to remote regions to check on work. He had me completely convinced. I was the epitome of an ignorant wife. He had a daughter, for heaven's sake, while his real family was struggling. I was working late so we could try to move forward. He was making love to this woman, and I was paying for the privilege. I stormed into the bedroom and pulled as many suitcases out of there as I could find. Unzipping them open, I stuffed his clothes and personal belongings into them. I rolled them out onto the front porch. The kids gathered around as I continued to put his things away. By the time I was done, there was a small mountain. "Mommy, what's going on? I'm scared," Louise cried. Ronald's car pulled into the driveway. He got out with a look of curiosity on his face. "What are those bags? And why is your car parked outside?" "The bags are yours, asshole. All your clothes are in there. You can come back and get the rest of your stuff next week." "What the hell, Gabby? What the hell has gotten into you?" he said, irritation in every word. "I'll tell you what got into my ass. This afternoon, I got a surprise visit from your mistress, Danny, and your daughter, Marissa. Why is your stuff here? It's because you're leaving right now." His face turned pale, and the color quickly drained from it. His lips moved, but no words came out of them. "Gabby, let's go inside and we can talk about this. I'm sorry you had to find out this way." "No way, asshole. You'll never set foot in this house again. 3 years, Ronnie. 3 years you've had me for a fool. You're nothing but a cheating, lying, conniving bastard." "Gabby, this is my home. I'm not leaving. If we could just go inside, sit down, and talk. Our marriage is too valuable to be destroyed like this. Please, I love you." "Oh yeah, you loved me so much. You told that dirty little fool we were getting a divorce. Our marriage was over. You told her you loved her, not me. You let me go back to work so you could pay your slutty mistress $500 a week." "You're an asshole, Ronnie." "Don't do it, Gabby. We can work this out. I know it looks bad, but please, give me a chance to explain. You knew how much I wanted to spend those early years with our children. I never wanted to go back to work. I wanted to be here at home, making lifelong connections. You slept with me because of Ronnie." Come on, Gabby, let's go inside and talk. Give me a chance. No way. You told her you're divorcing me and you don't love me. No, Ronnie. If you leave now and maybe, just maybe, we can talk again in a few days. But not now. He paced the walkway like a man possessed. Pulling out his cell phone, he made a quick call to someone. Then, as I went inside and locked the door, he started loading his stuff into the back of his truck. When he finished, he tried to open the door but found it locked. He tried to insert his key only to find that I had inserted mine from the inside. Go away, Ronnie. God damn it, don't be childish. You're making a scene. The damn neighbors are staring at me. It's not fair. No, asshole. What's not fair is you making your family suffer every week because you give our money away. Jesus, Gabby. If I didn't, she'd sue, and I'd have to pay full alimony. You're gonna have to do it now anyway, you fucking idiot. You're gonna pay me too. Gabby, don't make any rash decisions. I know you're angry, but we can end this. Goodbye, Ronnie. I turned and walked into the living room to collapse into a chair. Only then did it hit me. All the emotions flooded out of me. I couldn't hold them back anymore. Memories were seeping into my brain. So many good ones, even just recently when we were struggling to pay the bills. He put his arm around me and comforted me, saying, "We can get through these difficulties. We can do this." What a sneaky, lying bastard. Ha! That got me thinking about all the good memories. Were they lies, too? How many others were there? Was Danny just the most recent one? Louise jumped into my lap, sobbing hysterically. She didn't understand. James stood beside me, his hand stroking my leg. "It's going to be okay, Mommy. Why can't Daddy come in?" I hugged him. "Daddy and I had a fight, honey. Don't worry, it's not your fault." I called my mom. I needed to hear a friendly voice. She realized something was wrong, and as we chatted, it all spilled out of me. 15 minutes later, she was already walking through the front door. She enveloped me in her warm, motherly embrace, and the river of tears came rushing out again. She made us both a cup of tea laced with whiskey. We sat and talked. As mothers do, she comforted me, and we talked about the future. Gabby's life as a single mom is not going to be easy. You know that. The tuition alone will make it impossible. I know, Mom. Tomorrow I'll sue and see what help I can get. I'm going to need a lawyer. I wonder if I'll qualify for legal aid. Honey, you're making the wrong choice. I'm not going to defend that slippery bastard, but you need to think about the kids. It's not just you, love. Mom, I'm not letting him back in. I haven't thought about anything else since I found out. You're talking about the kids, and you can believe me. I've also considered their interests in this matter. What kind of role model would he be for them? Cheater, liar, manipulator. For God's sake, Mom, I had to go back to work so he could pay her allowance. Honey, I'm not defending him. He's a bloody awful man. Your father and I took him into our hearts. We've been there for you and loaned him money that we'll obviously never pay back. I thought of the children. Stunned, I whispered, "You lent him money?" "Yes, dear. He came to talk to us last year. He explained that things were tight. He didn't want to scare you. He asked for a loan, so we gave him money." "Oh shit, Mom, why didn't you tell me?" "He asked us not to. He was so embarrassed. We wanted to help, honey. We were thinking about you and the kids." "As far as I'm concerned, he's done, Mom. I think we're better off without him." "Yes, perhaps you're right, dear." She sighed and humility swept over her. She knew me well enough to realize how determined I could be. He was so convincing when he came to borrow money. He was crying, and it was obvious he was having such a hard time. No man wants to borrow money from his wife's parents. He talked us into it. My night was sleepless, but in the morning I woke up with a plan. And what's more, I felt strong. My mom agreed to keep the kids and watch them for the next few days. I had a lot of things to do. The first call was to Work and Income New Zealand. I had to wait 20 minutes, but when I explained to them what the call was about, they quickly provided me with an account manager. Luckily, she was a woman, and when we discussed the case and circumstances, she was very understanding. She found out what benefits I would be eligible for and suggested I go to the office where she would help me fill out the paperwork. It was like taking a huge load off. They were amazing. They downloaded the paperwork to file for a dissolution of marriage. My supervisor was amazing and so experienced. She told me to split our finances now. Their payment was to show up in the bank the next day as an unscheduled payment. From then on, it would be every 2 weeks. Part of the process was to give Ronnie full information. She looked at me strangely. Gabrielle, there was another woman here yesterday who filed a lawsuit against the same person. Don't tell me it's Danny Andrews? She nodded. Is this the woman you mentioned? Yes, the one and only. I could see the disgust on her face. She wasn't happy. By the time I left the office, I was armed with everything I needed. The next step was to talk to Ronnie. If he agreed, we could just finish filling out the paperwork and everything would go smoothly. If he contested it, we would have to go to family court. I wasn't worried about that. Adultery may not be illegal in New Zealand, but it made him look very unfavorable. He seemed quite happy when I called him. Gabby, thank God you called. Ronnie, come home after work. We need to talk. Should I bring my suitcases? Only if they're empty so you can fill them. Shit, don't be an idiot. We need to talk. We need time together so we can work through this. I know what I did was stupid, but come on, Gabby, we have a great marriage. No, we don't. After finding out what kind of person you really are, you stole money from my parents, for God's sake. What kind of person are you? I didn't do anything like that. They were kind enough to lend us some money. There was no us in that, Ronnie. It was all you. You didn't pay them back a dime. I doubt you ever planned it. Now I doubt everything about you. Just be there at 6. When he came in, I was sitting at the table. All the relevant documents were spread out in front of me. The moment he saw them, his smile disappeared and he just stared at me. Really, just like that? Yeah, just like that. Don't do it, Gabby. I screwed up. I know that, but we could get past it. We could try counseling. What? Are you kidding me? Like I want to sit in the same room with you. No way in hell. Ronnie, if we agree on a separation order, we can save a lot of money. If you fight it, we'll have to go to family court. And all that'll do is eat up money, believe me. You don't want that. He started going through the papers. He looked at me intently. Every 2 weekends. That's all I get? If you come my way, then maybe we can come to an agreement. I'll get joint custody. Yeah, and how are you going to do that? You're going to need at least a 2-bedroom house. You'd need to be able to drive the kids to and from daycare, and you'd have to pay for it. I'll get your mom to watch them too. I laughed. Like hell you would. If you take one step near her now, she'll kill you. She's not going to help you take my kids away from me. Oh, and by the way, they want the money you borrowed from them back, with interest. You're going to have to sell the house, Gabby. You can't afford it, he said firmly. Not even with childcare. You're wrong, Ronnie, I can. The company already approved my payment. They helped me fill out all these forms. Jesus, you heartless fool. Yes, I am. You've been using me for 2 goddamn years. I hope it feels good. God damn it, I made a mistake. Sure, can we talk about this? Jesus, Gabby, the hours I've spent at work, on business trips. Business trips on my ass. You never went anywhere. The nights you said you spent on the road, you spent with that cheating bitch. Don't worry, she told me everything. You never even left town. You left me to look after the kids, keep the house. All this time you've been right here. You left your own kids to be with this woman. I didn't abandon them. I was trying to build a future for us. Liar, I screamed. You're a fucking liar. You weren't working late. You were with her. Your children were here crying because they missed their father, and you were with her. You could have been here with them like a real man. Okay, calm down. I made a mistake. It's not the end of the world, Gabby. It happens. If you give me a chance, I'll make it up to you. We can get counseling and talk. I'll be here every night to help. No, I'll be nice to the kids. I won't humiliate you. I won't tell them what happened, but accept when I did it too. You and I will never speak again." He grabbed the papers and ran out the door. "You have 21 days to get them back," I shouted back at him. God, it felt so good. I felt empowered and strong. Watching him sit there with tears streaming down his face made my heart warm. Mom brought the kids home that evening, and of course they wanted to know what was going on. It was hard to see the look of horror on their faces, but it had to be done. James got angry and blamed me. "You sent Dad away." He rushed off to his room. I was helped by Mom, who came in and sat next to him. She explained that Ronnie had done some very bad things, and I had no choice but to send him away. Louise sat down next to me and we hugged. Several of her school friends had already been through divorce proceedings, so she understood. James came in later and sat with us. Mom joined in our group hug, and that seemed to ease the pain. Of course, nothing ever goes smoothly. I could afford the house payment, but once the food and daycare costs stopped, there was almost nothing left. We had to give up all the nice things like Sky TV, and takeaways became a thing of the past. Things were getting tight. Eventually, I had to take it on whenever I could get it. Car servicing and insurance disappeared. Fortunately, my little car was reliable and my dad took care of all the maintenance. He also helped around the house. He mowed the lawns, tended the gardens, and trimmed the hedges. When I looked around, the place had never looked better. I was grateful when I received a separation order in the mail. Ronnie filled it out and agreed to my terms. I found out from my parents that he screwed up. He actually had the nerve to ask my parents for help. My dad laughed in his face and demanded that he pay back the money they had already loaned him or they would sue. It's funny how when your world is turned upside down, it's uplifting. I hated Ronnie so much. I felt no guilt for what happened to him. Danny was just as cruel as I was. He was left with nothing. All he could afford was a shitty little apartment. He had to sell his Beamer. I had the great pleasure of selling his golf clubs and all his squash equipment. Strangely, he didn't even try to fight it. I hoped it was his conscience finally kicking in. Ha! Great chance. It didn't take him long to find another girl. God, it disgusted me. He clearly had a low opinion of me. His weekends with the kids had slowly faded out of sight. If he didn't think much of me, he thought even less of them. He tried unsuccessfully through the courts to get his payments reduced. I didn't really care. All he was doing was messing with the government, not me. I got my allowance whether he paid it or not. However, I laughed when the cheater sued him for paying child support to Danny's daughter, Marissa. He was so successful in hiding the payments to her that he couldn't prove he made them. 2 years of child support and alimony. Now that had to hurt. It just made me laugh. It took me another year to trust men again. I finally found a nice guy and we became close enough to date. It was nice to have a man back in my life, someone I could hold in my arms, someone I could share intimate thoughts and moments with. Love, oh God, it was so nice. Ronnie, I suppose, was a reasonable lover. When I look back on our life, I see that he tried very hard, but with my new experience, I learned that he was very selfish. My new man, Price, was such a wonderful lover. He really enjoyed foreplay. He loved me. When we made love, he was so generous and caring. He had my pleasure in mind, not just his own. There were other things, too. He liked to massage my feet and rub my back. He awakened a side of me that had remained buried with Ronnie. He adored my body. Price sensationalized the kids. He idolized them as if they were his own. He never shirked his parental responsibilities. When Ronnie disappeared from our lives, Price stepped up. And when he asked me to marry him, I was over the moon, and I wasn't the only one. The kids were thrilled. They loved having him around. We finally had the man we deserved, and Ronnie, well, he got what he deserved too. So many things came to light once the court started investigating him. Danny wasn't the only woman he had an affair with. Add to that the fact that his new girlfriend also got pregnant and he was stuck with another family trying to find funds. He lived in fear because the other woman he was having an affair with was married and her husband was looking for him. When he knocked on my door, I happily gave him all the information I had about Ronnie's whereabouts. I live in hope that he will finally catch him. I remember how funny he looked at me when I asked if he could send me pictures when he caught him. Ronnie. If only his brain was as big as his ass. The end.